Well, if you're going to be a business owner, you're going to need some resilience, but it's not just resilience in the way that you're thinking of it. It's even resilience in your marginal time. See, your marginal time determines your marginal return. Hey, it's Scott Beebe with Business on Purpose. Always our delight to be able to spend this time with you on the podcast and the YouTube channel. Make sure to go subscribe to both. I was talking to an owner, and she said, "I don't have much to do in my business these days." Those are the exact words that somebody I met with just last week. You could get the sense that the words almost scared her as they came out of her mouth and left a concerned sense somewhere between, "I can't believe this is actually true," and "Am I missing something that I should be seeing?" As business coaches, we can't help but get really excited and really offer a bit of a chuckle when we see business owners arrive at the place where their business is running consistently without their direct hour-by-hour, day-by-day input and effort. Not by unhealthy abdication, but instead by thoughtful, consistent, intentional leadership rooted in purpose, people, process, and profit. After a few seconds of joy and enthusiasm, we quickly move into a mode where we want to ensure that the owner's in a healthy place and the team, frankly, is in a healthy place as well. It makes me a little bit uneasy to think about a driven personality with a forward-leaning mindset to both be equipped with marginal time and marginal resources. Ever heard the story of the successful entrepreneur who was engrossed in a twisted and bizarre, sort of a midlife crisis? The marginal time and marginal money paradox is the most common breeding ground for such an unrestrained crisis. The very first thing we should do if we're bored in our business, or maybe just don't quite know what to do, is to pause and make sure that you've got health in your personal disciplines. See, this idea of boredom or solitude or not really knowing what to do next has been made out to be a non-productive territory, littered with heat and dust and tumbleweeds, some sort of wasteland of progress. But it's not true. Boredom can actually breed healthy solitude. We've talked about that on the podcast a few episodes ago, which becomes the catalyst for proximity both close and far away, to motivate a team, to bring that new motive to a team so that they can help you begin pursuing the vision that you've written down. It's in boredom precisely where restoration can happen. Insights can begin to emerge, problems and opportunities can be seen clearly, and experimentation can begin to flourish as well. See, busy automatically cranks the volume knob to 10, but boredom gives you control of the volume so you can think. See, boredom's not bad. It offers value and flexibility and opportunity. Boredom, healthy boredom, provides an opportunity for you to indulge in your thoughts, either in good or in bad thoughts. So boredom is a neutral tone. You get to decide what you do with it. So instead of asking, well, what should I do if and when boredom sets in, maybe we ought to change our perspective to what can I hear or what can I see now that I have the wide open space of boredom? It was a Jewish rabbi compelled his followers to allow for eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to understand. Your mind has a trainload of thoughts, and boredom is the train station for those thoughts to disembark and to lounge for just a little while. The second opportunity that merges with boredom is a chance to revise your future destination. Our family, we travel back and forth to a variety of places, Nigeria being one of those regular places on a regular basis, which usually requires 4 airports along the way. And so I follow a similar subconscious routine at each airport, reviewing my flight app to check boarding times, seat assignments, and the itinerary on the ground once we get there. Inevitably, sitting in the boredom of the airport terminal, a new idea that alters the itinerary will pop into my mind and bring with it some fresh ideas that I can sort of breathe into the trip. You have a written multi-page vision story. If you don't, you need to get on that. It's one of the things that we do at My Business on Purpose. If you go to mybusinessonpurpose.com/roadmap, one of the very first modules there you can click on, about a 2 to 3 minute overview that one of our coaches will give you of a vision story. And if you don't have that written, you need to go start there. And that vision story will be tweaked as opposed to massive wholesale changes that'll be tweaked throughout the year as you have new insights into the context of those boredom spaces. See, boredom allows a business owner to reevaluate and revise the written vision, drawing in a tighter and tighter focus on the final destination. Boredom can also be an impulse to revise your role. You should never be without clarity in your role within the busy, especially when you're not in the day-to-day. So that idea of the chief executive role, see, we had roles for ourselves when we were doing all of the busy work in the business, but as time got away from us, we got less focused on that role. So a unique way to gain insight into your new role is actually to ask your key leaders, what does the business need from me above all else? Take me out of the weeds, take me out of the day-to-day. What does the business need? I asked this question of my team, and here's how they responded. Just last week, they said, we need you to help provide momentum, organization, tools, and leads. So we took those 4 elements, momentum, organization, tools, and leads. Now, yours may be very different than mine. And we broke those down into critical parts and pieces so I had clarity on what I need to be focusing my time on. So after some discussion and clarity, their insights provided clarity on my role and allowed me to craft it towards the elements where I thought my time was best spent. That vision and role may include doubling down on what you've already written. It may also involve selling your business or starting something else. You may uncover a pivot in your business or personal life that you simply had not seen or heard prior because the distraction and the volume was so loud. The third thing you can do when you're bored as a business owner is to embrace the time and just rest. It's said that even God himself rested. Probably an indication that we too should have moments of rest. Rest defined is to cease work or movement in order to relax or refresh oneself or recover strength. Rest can be reading a book or self-converting a Sprinter van, napping, writing, exercising, or doing yard work, just sitting and staring. This is where you need to be mindful of where your rest leads you. And it's best to have someone else help hold you accountable to how you rest so that you can maximize that time for good and not for backward movement. Finally, when that boredom hits you or that marginal time hits you, it is okay to just sit still. We undervalue stillness and silence and solitude. Thomas A. Kempis said, in silence, the quiet soul makes progress. The history of the owner pushes through rest in an effort to outwork others for an elusive prize that doesn't exist. The great author and the late author Dallas Willard has a modern spin on this idea in sharing that each of us must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. A dear friend has been in a health battle for the past 2.5 years, and he recently shared his journey meandering through the dark valleys of stage 3 melanoma in concert with severe kidney trauma. His takeaway to the audience that he was speaking to was not woe's me, but instead, the world has forgotten the joy of silence. Shortly after, he said quietly in the words of author Frederick Buechner, pay attention. As a summation of all that I have to say as a writer, I would settle for that. Pay attention. My friend has spent hours waiting in the last 2.5 years, waiting on doctor's appointments, waiting on prognosis calls, waiting on the next treatment, just waiting. As he waited, he has been reminded of the power and the gift of boredom. If and when you get bored working on your business, don't rush, don't run. Slow down and listen. Owners and executive leaders and owners that are emerging into executive leaders pre-plan their anticipated marginal time in a way that provides proximity to motivate a team to pursue the vision that you've written down. And that proximity empowers a team to convert your marginal time into the business's marginal returns. Again, go check out mybusinessonpurpose.com/roadmap to get an oversight of some of those key elements that we're talking about in the business.